I am absolutely thrilled to invite Dr. Maria Rothenberger, the reluctant medium, on the podcast today to dive into reconnecting or connecting if you think that you've never done it before, but I bet you have, with your intuition. Dr. Maria Rothenberger, she has so much experience in this realm, and she's not one to lightly absorb the woo woo. She's the one who's going to question things. She is a trained psychotherapist. She's been doing that for years, and she got into mediumship and spirit baby readings by being contacted by two little babies that had passed and just started this whole ball rolling. And it took her a while to finally pick that up and say, "Oh, okay, let's see, let's explore this some more." And through that, she has written a book, Transcending Infertility, which is a fantastic one, especially if you've been struggling or curious about just reconnecting with your intuition and particularly with the fertility focus. She has the Reluctant Medium podcast and TV show, and we're going to share all those links later. But let's get into it. Talk to me about intuition and how it can help us as women really bring out our superpowers. Wherever you want to
Oh,
start.
oh my gosh. Where does one start? There's so much we could talk about. First, I just want to say, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me and being tenacious too. I really appreciate your outreach. Oh my gosh, lots of going on this side. And I want to circle back to the sign behind you that says it is happening. Because yes, we are moving much more into, despite what it looks like in the outside world right now, we are moving into a much more balanced feminine masculine vibe on this planet. Don't we need that? Part of intuition is the feminine part, yeah? So, okay. Well, you mentioned my story already. I should say that I come from a place of lots of masculine energy. Mom was, is, she still is quite a, we stay stoic, we hold our things inside, we do not express the things, we go on as if nothing is painful or really happening in our worlds, we just do the things. Dad is from Germany, engineer, lots of mathing and being practical and all those things. So, um, lo and behold, when these two babies came to me, um, I don't know if you want to hear that story, but when those two babies came
For
to
it.
me, I inquired with another medium, what the heck is happening here? Is this happening? And she confirmed, yes, this is happening. Here's why. And one of the things was that it probably ran in my family somewhere. Now, I didn't grow up hearing that kind of stuff. Very Christian, like you, right? Very Christian. My dad's Catholic, still practicing Catholicism. And I asked them, what is this a thing? And they're like, oh, yeah, yeah. Nobody really talks about it. But yeah, mom had prophetic dreams. She just had dreams that would come true all the time. And folks on my dad's side would just know things. We call it claircognizance. They would just know things. Okay, that was news to me. So I began delving deeper into this. Now I have a sciencey brain, right? As you said, trained psychotherapist. This is very statistics oriented. We like evidence. And I began collecting evidence, and it took about 6.5, 7 years, maybe even into the 8 year mark before I was like, okay, I feel now that this could be helpful for folks. And I started incorporating that work into my work. So, how did I begin that though? It was with a lot of skepticism. It was. And I think that what I would encourage folks to do is to begin collecting data, if you will, if you want to be sciencey about it. I love a healthy skepticism, I like to call it. And that means I am open to things and I am not picking up everything that you're putting down. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get some evidence, right? So when I actually see clients for spiritual work, they have sometimes this, arms folded and you need to prove it to me. Um, in order and PS, if you come across folks like that, you won't be able to read them. You just won't because they have free will and they're allowed to block you from touching into their energy. It's completely fine. So I do ask that folks, open up, uncross the arms, and hold their judgment, and be open, but not picking up everything that I'm selling. So that's what I ask folks to start with, that energy, just like, okay, I'm going to start examining what's happening around me. I'm going to take some notes, maybe. I personally like to see signs 3 times before I consider it a piece of evidence. Um, but I'll tell one story of when it was just pow in my face that I could not deny it. I did not, I wanted it 2 more times, but it was so big I couldn't deny. But I do ask that things are seen 3 times, and then I will say, okay, I'm going to put that in my bucket of this is potential evidence, and then I'm going to ask for another sign, add that into the bucket, just keep adding until I have so much quote unquote evidence I can't deny that my intuition is right on. So the thing is, most of us, a lot of women nowadays are taught to that our superpower, our strength comes from the intellect, and it does. And we don't want to deny the intellect and our ability to reason and use that frontal lobe. It's powerful, it's wonderful. It's just not everything. It's not the whole story. And so when we pull in these other things that are not totally, actually, I was going to say they're not totally measurable, but we're getting there. There's probably lots of companies, but there's one, it's called the HeartMath Institute, that is creating this connection between science and spirit that I have not seen anywhere else yet. They are amazing. So we are taught that we need to, 1 plus 1 equals 2. 1 plus 1 equals 2. 2 plus 2 equals 4. We are reasoning, we are logical, and that's beautiful. But sometimes 1 plus 1 equals, I like to say 1 plus 1 equals giraffe. Like, I don't know. Sometimes it's like, I don't know why it equals giraffe right now, but it does. And you'll start seeing the evidence for that as you begin to take some notes and stuff. So, for example, if you are, let's take something completely out of the spirit realm. Let's say that you are HR for a corporation and you are interviewing folks and people look great on paper. This person looks fantastic on paper, but there's a knowing. There's a knowing inside. I don't know what it is, but this person is just not right for this position. I can't understand because their qualifications are perfect and they're saying all the right words and they're dressed appropriately. Something's off. I don't understand. That's an example of 1 plus 1 equals giraffe, right? We don't know why. But if you hire that person, chances are you're going to find out why they're not the greatest fit.
They might be a giraffe.
They might be giraffe. That's right. Not great for the office environment.
No, too tall, too tall.
So you can see why, intellect is important, and this other piece is super important as well. It informs and they all work together. So when you put both of those pieces, and there are myriad pieces of us, right? It's not just intellect and intuition, it's a lot of things, but we're talking about intuition today. Um, when you add that into your intellect, your ability to reason, it is, talk about superpower. Talk about superpower. It's unreal. And the things that still come through in my readings with folks, it's like, what? Like, how could I possibly know that? I don't know. I don't know it. It's coming through from somewhere else. But folks have said that I just had a person say recently, I've been in therapy for 2 years about this issue with my mom. I have one session with you, and it's not 100% better, but it's like 80% better.
Mm.
It's how does this happen? And it's relying on these unseen things, these things that are not measurable, these things that I can't give somebody an inventory for and say, here, answer these questions. I'm going to give you a score so that I know how to treat. It's just something that is information in the ether that we can tap into at any time. That's a lot of talking that I just did. Did that answer your
That's
question?
yes, that's why you're here, to say all the things. Yeah, and so I've heard you on other podcasts talk about how you how do you get quiet enough to listen? Like, what are the
Oof.
principles of so what I hear you saying is that when we are able to take in this other element of ourselves and be able to tap into our intuition and integrate that into our living and our decision making and life, that we are able to guide ourselves to more, I would say, a more complete life, because we are not
Yes.
pushing things down simply because they, just like that employee in HR, like they would have been a logically excellent candidate,
Mhm.
but there was something that just said, "Mm-mm, not a good
Right.
fit." So when we're able to integrate that, that leads us to a better quality of life and perhaps where we ought to be on our life path. Again, we might be, in taking a job or deciding to move somewhere based on A, B, and C. Is like those are really great reasons. But
Mhm.
if we're not checking in with all of us, we're gonna get ourselves into a crappy stew of life. So
Yeah.
this can help us with that guidance. So how do we okay, everyone imagine everyone who's listening is totally on board. They're like, "Yes, Maria, totally. How do I do that? How do I do
Yeah.
that? Where do I start?" And I know that you had
Yeah.
mentioned meditation as being like number
Oh,
1. So
yeah.
talk us through it.
Right. So my number one tool is mindfulness meditation. Specifically, there are lots of types of meditation. I practice mindfulness, which is being present in a particular way, a non-judgmental way, a soft way, um, just noticing. And I first learned about this from when I was dealing with fertility issues, because I was struggling so much with depression and anxiety and just really, really tough things. And I stumbled across mindfulness-based stress reduction from University of Massachusetts, and I was so cantankerous at that point in my life, because nothing worked, nothing felt good, nothing. I was just a wreck, and I bitterly said, "You know what? What have I got to lose? I'm going to prove this wrong. This is stupid. It doesn't work." And so I went in expecting it to fail. I was going to prove meditation wrong, and that's my stubborn Taurus self, if you want a little glimpse at who I am. I began meditating based on what what MBSR suggested. My goal was 30 minutes a day over an 8-week period. I actually extended it to 90 days. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this for 90 days and see what happens. And so I started doing that. I didn't start out 30 minutes from the beginning. It was like a titrating up. I began like 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever I could do. And my mind was nuts. It was all over the place. Bing, 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 bing. They call it the monkey mind. What's for dinner? Oh my gosh, I'm meditating. Oh, what about that one person that said that? Did she really mean that? That was kind of rude. Oh, I'm meditating. Oops, oops, oops. But in the beginning, it was, oh my God, your mind's going crazy again. Why can't you meditate? Why can't you? Right. It was like this really harsh critic inside. But after 90 days, and that's not a lot of time, after 90 days, there was something that happened that really made me realize, oh man, this works. I was driving on a New Jersey highway, and if you've been in New Jersey before, you know the traffic there is something else. We can put like lots of expletives to explain the traffic in New Jersey, and it's very commonplace to get cut off, and people are shouting expletives, speaking of which, and gestures out the windows and stuff, and I was one of them. And one day someone cut me off on the highway, and my first instinctual response was, ooh, I hope they're okay. And that's when I realized, oh man, I think meditation's working. Flash forward now several years, I'm still meditating. Fertility stuff is behind me. And I had this experience with those twins coming to my awareness. I was doing grief work with somebody who lost her twins in utero. And the medium that I had mentioned before that I called, who told me that it probably ran in my family, said the main thing that probably created this awareness of this ability, because it was probably always there, I wasn't aware of it, was meditation. And meditation, mindfulness, I'll speak to specifically, but again, lots of different strategies folks can use to meditate. It literally changes the synaptic connections in the brain. You begin to loosen or disconnect the synaptic connections that are wired for lots of anxiety, lots of depression, all number of difficult struggles that we have nowadays. And you start to wire in lots more love, lots more compassion, lots more ability to stay still, to be present. A lot of folks struggle with, if you're like me, you struggle with being alone in a room and not coming up with busy work, or lots of thoughts coming in around ways that you could be better, ways that you could could say things better, the ways that you can, I don't know, do the dishes better. It doesn't really matter, but this chatter is constantly happening if you're like me. And mindfulness creates a state of actual peace. You still have the thoughts. they the brain works that way. It's constantly firing. It's lots of electricity in there. The difference is that you're able to watch the electrical currents go by rather than grab one and go, now what are you saying to me? What are you saying? 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 It's much more, oh, that thought just happened. Oh, that thought just happened. Bye bye. Bye bye thought. Bye bye 60,000 plus thoughts that all humans have per day. Just watching them go by. And so that's how peace gets started. Now, is it like that 100% of the time? No. But it is much easier to fall into that mode when you have a good meditation practice on board. And like I said, 90 days, that's not a lot of time. It really isn't. Think about how old we are. You can be 20 years old, and that's still 20 years of not being mindful compared to 90 days of really learning and growing these new synaptic connections to create more peace, to create more ease in your world, in your life. Yeah. So
So
yes, I would start there.
perfect. So starting that as a practice, and then like I guess oftentimes people kind of want to figure like, is there a magic spell I say? Is there a prayer that I say? Like, how do I invoke the spirits of intuition into my presence? It's like how do you, and then how do you interpret? Like, oh well, that was just a random thought, or was it?
Yeah.
How do I? So yeah,
Ooh, good question. Okay, so first I want to help discern the difference between intuition and gut reaction, right? Because most people combine those two. Oh, they're the same thing. They're actually not. Gut reaction is from it's for safety, right? So here's an example. A couple of weeks ago, I get up early in the morning to go for a run, to go running twice a week. And this particular day, it started getting dark again in the mornings. So I had to, put on my reflective vest and all the things, the safety gear that I do. But there was something in me, my gut reaction was, don't go, Maria, don't go. That was from, they say it's from the fear. It's a hindbrain situation, the lizard brain. They call it's the oldest part of our brain that keeps us alive. That's what keeps us, that is the gut reaction they like to talk about. They, that people talk about. It's the gut reaction. It's that, oh, we need to keep you alive. We need to keep you safe. Um, Intuition has no emotional charge at all. It just feels like fact. So, like, this is a coffee cup. Fact. There's no fear in that. There's no trying to keep you safe there. It just feels like fact. I will say that a lot of times emotion comes after. So if you have an intuition, I need to miss my kids' soccer game today. I don't know why, but I need to miss it today. The initial emotional reaction might come after, just a few seconds after that, if not a split second after, like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. That's kind of sad. I don't want to miss it. Blah, blah, blah. But the intuition, the initial intuition is just fact. So that's how I encourage folks to start paying attention to, is that just a thought or is it actual information I need to pay attention to? Ask yourself, does it have an emotional charge or did it have an emotional charge when I first noticed it? If it did, then it's probably not intuition. It's probably a fear coming up. And then you can ask yourself, is that designed to keep me safe? And sometimes intuition, not emotionally charged, will say yes. Then you'll say, ah, okay, I need to listen to it. Sometimes there'll be nothing, and sometimes it'll say no. But I do encourage folks when you're first starting to tune in to intuition. I am a very playful person. You can probably tell I like telling a lot of jokes. I'm very playful. Use play. Do things that are not really that important. I like to say, step out your front door and go for a walk. Your only end goal is to get back home. But you don't know if you're turning right, left, staying straight, turning around, going backwards. It doesn't matter. You just follow your intuition. So you come to the end of a block and you go right, left, or straight and see what happens with what does your intuition say? Notice. Get playful like that. Um, if you like, you know, shopping, go shopping and just get in the car and drive. I don't know what store I'm going to. I'm gonna let my intuition guide me straight, left, or right, and see what happens, see where you end up. I like to say too, sometimes you run into folks or situations or you see signs or whatever that you never would have seen or interacted with that you were meant to interact with. You didn't know, but there it is, right? Here's that story I was going to tell you about a really, really, really big sign. That I was like, what? Um, because my intuition led me there. So I don't know if you know this or if folks, your listeners know that I am a massive, massive Elvis Presley fan. Huge Elvis Presley fan. Yeah. And so when Lisa Marie Presley died, I was, it felt like family to me. It felt like family had passed away. And I hadn't connected with Elvis Presley through mediumship. I've had a couple dreams about him, but I never connected with him through mediumship. But who pops into my awareness? Lisa Marie Presley. And I'm like, no, no, this can't. No, I said, if this is Lisa Marie, if this really is Lisa Marie Presley, I need a sign from you. I need a sign that this is Lisa Marie Presley. And sorry, there's a fly in here. So I was going to the grocery store one morning and my intuition led me to a different way. And I, I'd driven this street before, but not to the grocery store. But my intuition was like, go this way. So I did. It was like a back road. Now, side note, I happened to be also in a band, and I was singing a Lisa Marie Presley song in that band, and it's called "Lights Out." So that's the side note. So I'm driving back this back road, and there is a huge neon sign, a literal sign that says lights out on it. And then in the very background of that actual sign was another little, caricature of a sign that said, this is a sign. Yeah, I started crying. I'm like,
Oh.
oh my gosh, is this Lisa Marie Presley? Now, I did kind of giggle and laugh because I asked for two more signs. But when I connected with her, she was like, well, you asked for a sign. You can't get more obvious than that, right? And I was like, well, I still kind of need two more, but okay. But it was so obvious that I couldn't not, consider it a sign. But my intuition led me there. It wasn't a normal drive for me. It was not emotional. I didn't know what was coming. It was like, go this way. And so I did. I listened, right? I should say, folks, angels, your spirit guides on the other side, they are tenacious. I mentioned you being, Kelly, very tenacious. I'm going to follow up. They won't ever stop trying. They won't ever stop calling you to take a certain route, or to talk to a certain person, or to get on a particular bus or a train, or drive your car a certain way, or walk down the hallway in your office building a different way. They won't ever stop trying to do that. um, your role is to lovingly listen. And we do that various ways. You had mentioned before the clairs. If folks haven't heard of the clairs before, I'll talk about that now. So clair just means clear in French. And we like to refer to the clairs as parts of our, like, extrasensory perceptions. Um, just think of the five senses: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, like touching, feeling on the body. And so I'll start with my main clair, and all of us have usually one really strong clair. And then we all have all of them, but there's usually one that's the strongest. Mine is clairvoyance, which means clear seeing. So I see things in my mind's eye. I see pictures in movies and symbols in my mind's eye that I'm then able to relay to the person that I'm speaking with, or perhaps it's my own. I'm connecting myself. Um, Everybody has the ability to connect to their intuition through these clairs. Connecting with something outside of you, like a spirit being, right? Like a soul on the other side, or a spirit guide, or that kind of thing, is different than connecting to your intuition. Connecting to your intuition is a beautiful place to start using these senses. So what happens usually, people, I mentioned this before too, I think before we started recording, that a lot of folks get color. They get color at the very beginning, right? So if they have a sense, a knowing, a clear cognizance that somebody's angry, they might see a certain color. Maybe red means anger, right? Or it doesn't matter what the color is. It has to be meaningful for the person, right? Maybe it's black, maybe it's white, maybe it's red, maybe it's yellow. It doesn't really matter. It matters to the person, right? So now when that person sees red, they're going to say, somebody's angry here, or maybe I'm angry. Maybe I'm angry and I'm not acknowledging it, right? So that's an example of a clairvoyant experience, seeing red. Some folks might feel chills or a sensation on the skin. Some people, I'll break down, that's clairsentience. I'll break down clairsentience even more. Another type of feeling is emotion. So you might even just pass by somebody on the street and suddenly feel sad. That's clairempathy. It's a type of clairsentience, clear feeling. Um, but again, that is connecting with things outside of you. If you start connecting with your intuition, you can still use these skills, right? You can start with, again, something quite playful. What should I have for lunch? Should I have the salad? Should I have the smoothie? Whatever. Which one feels better to me right now? And then you tap into whatever clair you tap into. For me, it would be a picture of the salad, picture of the avocado, picture of the whatever. Maybe it's a steak. I don't know. Um, or some people might have a more emotional feeling. I remember when I would walk in to my mom's house and she'd be making this. I need that, right? There's a feeling about it, an emotion about it, or a sensation on the body. When I feel correct about something, it's often a tingle on my right side. So I know that's my symbol for I'm on the right track, a tingle on my right side. So these are all things that I do, taking it back to that first skill of taking notes. I encourage folks to take notes because you have to build a database, right? You don't quite yet know what you're picking up on, or how your body is going to respond. That is one thing that's important, tuning into your body, because often our body gives us signals that we're not paying attention to. You know what I mean? So taking notes, writing things down as potential data. You're not reading into anything just yet. Just write it down as potential information. And then over time, you'll start seeing a pattern.
Beautiful. I think so. So what I would take away from this would be I'm going to sit down, I'm going to have some meditation time, I'm going to let things come in and out. I'm going to say, "Hey, I am open to receiving from my intuition here. Here I am." And then just noticing thoughts, and then if something really stands out, something kind of, especially if it's weird, like where in the world would I have come up with that? I'm going to write it down after I'm done meditating. I'm going to sit down and
Mhm.
write down the different things that came up. And then now I have a record of like, okay, that's interesting. And then I can go back to it if like, oh my gosh, I saw an alligator. And all of us, like, the 30 minutes later, what are my kids watching? An alligator show. Like, that's kind of crazy. All right. Well, I mean, I was like, that's interesting. Hey, what do you know? That
Yeah.
then you can have that to look back on.
Yes, exactly. Yes. I've had folks who talked about, well, I'll have a reading with somebody, for example, and I'll be like, what's happening with your mom? What's your mom doing right now? And they'll be like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, mark down the time. This is what I'm seeing. And then they later then connect with their mom, and mom was doing something related to that. So yes, mark down the time, always collecting the data, right? Always collecting the data. You're looking for evidence that this is accurate. And PS, this makes your intuition even stronger. It makes your connection to your intuition stronger. It's like your intuition going, oh my God, they see me now. Yay, here I am. Yes, I'm going to talk louder. I'm going to be even stronger. I'm going to be even louder, right? It's a strengthening. I should say too, meditation is wonderful. And I'm also going to encourage your listeners to do this exercise from the HeartMath Institute that I mentioned before. It's called the Heart Coherence Technique, the
Mm.
quick coherence technique. They call it. It's super simple. The reason why there's a focus on the heart is because that is where intuition lies. That's where that's where you want to focus, is the heart. Every reading that I do, every meditation that I do, there's always a heart focus, because that is where your intuition is.
Can I
You'll
pause real quick?
Please.
I was picking out my jewelry for this chat, and I was told to wear this heart quartz
Ah,
necklace. So anyway, that was like, oh, okay, okay. All right. All right.
that
Tell us
is
about the method.
that is awesome. You know what's funny? Oh, okay. Here's an example of us not following our intuition, because I was picking out a necklace for today, and I picked this one up, but right next to it was a heart pendant that I was like, "Oh, I wonder if I should wear that." Nah, I'll just wear this one. But my intuition was like, "Get the heart one," but I didn't listen. Now see how fabulous would that have been, right? If you're like, "Oh my God, me
Amazing.
too." Right. So your intuition is right on. The heart is, and this is actually proven through lots of scientific evidence, that the heart, as well as the gut, has neuron-like cells, and they are capable of learning and disseminating information. The heart sends a lot of information to the brain, actually 4 times more information to the brain than the brain sends to the heart. It's extremely informative. Yeah. So check out the HeartMath Institute. You'll learn a lot of information there. But here is their quick coherence technique, which is a very heart focused practice that will help you tune into your intuition. It's very simple. So I put my hands on my heart because I am able to focus on the physical space where my heart is. That just helps me. You don't have to. But what you're doing is physically paying attention to your heart space. What is your heart doing? And then you imagine that you can breathe in and out of your heart, not your nose and mouth, not your lungs. You're breathing in and out of your heart. Your breath is even going in and going out. It's the same number of counts, if you will. Inhale for the count of 5, exhale for the count of 5. And you repeat this for a good minute. And the last piece is to bring up a beautiful memory that is pleasant. It can be exciting, it can be calming. Whatever it is, it's pleasant. And really try to put yourself there. What were you wearing? Were you with anybody else? What was exactly happening? Imagine what you looked like, what your face looked like, what your body felt like when you were in this moment. And just stay there for another 30 seconds to a minute. And if I were to hook you up to this biofeedback mechanism that I have from the HeartMath Institute, you would see that on the graph, you're in what's called heart coherence.
Mm.
It's a very calm parasympathetic state, stillness, as you mentioned before, right?
Mm.
That's how you are, that's going to set you off well to connect with your true intuition. Yeah.
Oh, that's a beautiful practice. I love
Mhm.
that. Oh.
It's really good. Yeah. Yeah, they're amazing. Their work is so good. I just can't speak highly of them enough.
Well, I will link it along with your links
Please,
in the show notes in the description so everybody can find it. Can
good.
I, s- I want to share a story, as you were mentioning,
Please.
about following intuition, and it was for me, it was regarding. I'm so going to hold it together. Fertility as well. So
Mhm.
I had about I've been so blessed to have so many kids, and so it's even silly to even go like, what do you mean you had infertility issues? Like, but
Mhm, mhm,
I had a my first miscarriages after having five
mhm,
kids,
mhm,
and it just it was
mhm,
very, very hard to wrap my head around that grief and understanding
mhm,
what my body was doing, what was going on in the
mhm,
world. And
mhm.
after there was a period where there was an entire year where I did not have a single pregnancy, despite, hitting all the fertility
You
dates
do
and
know.
everything. Like I I was beginning to feel so hopeless that we wouldn't have
Mhm.
another child. And I would cry out in my heart to the universe, what can I just stop wishing for more kids? Can you just help
Yeah,
kill this in me so that I don't,
yeah.
or am I going to have a kid or not? And I kind of
Mhm,
had that heart cry and felt called to go on a walk. So I took a bunch of my kids and we started walking over by this, we live by this beautiful old cemetery, and it had been
mhm.
raining earlier that day. And so um, it was, the ground is all wet. We walk by um, someone's sidewalk, and there is a book laying on the ground. Upside down, it looked like an old hymnal. It was an old book. And I pick it up, and to back up just a little bit, we had a list of names. And for our boy, if we were going to have a boy, his name, I was really wanting to go with Parrish, based on Maxfield Parrish, this fabulous illustrator from the early 1900s. So anyway, we pick up this old hymnal, it looks like, and I look at the side of it, and it says, again, it was, Universe, am I supposed to have kids or not? Poems of Childhood by Eugene Fields. Open it up. Illustrated by Maxfield Parrish.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I was like, wow. Okay, now I don't know if that's Poems of Childhood, Be Happy with Who You Have, or
Mhm.
Hang on, Mom, I'm Coming, because
Yeah,
that's who came next.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it took another year for that to happen, but
Mhm.
I felt so much. I felt seen. I felt that my heart was
Yes,
being held in that time. And
yes.
and
Yeah.
when you were talking about colors, I really hadn't played much with that before, but a little TMI, when my husband and I were making our daughter, all of a
Mhm.
sudden I saw, and I'd never seen this before, experienced this. It was like explosions of hot pink in my
Yeah.
brain, all like, oh my goodness, fireworks everywhere. And lo and
Mhm.
behold, we had a little girl. We didn't
Yeah.
do any ultrasounds or anything, so she was a
Mhm.
beautiful surprise. And
Yeah.
in my like, a couple weeks before giving birth, it might have been more like when I was about 6 or 7 months pregnant. I I clearly remember the moment where I was walking down the stair, about to walk down the stairs, and all of a sudden I just saw this wreath of flowers around my womb, like around the baby inside, and I went,
Mhm.
"This is a girl. It's a girl.
Mhm.
I can feel it." And just those. for me, those are some experiences I've had that have been ways of receiving,
Hmm.
and I think it's so important to
Yeah.
ask. And that, like you were saying, that our guides and everything is wanting the best for us, and they're always there, and they
Hmm.
don't give up on us. And I think,
Hmm.
especially from growing up with a Christian background, um, I experienced a fear that, you turn your back on God and he's going to turn his back on you. And
Hmm.
or I mean there's various versions of how people view that, but or it's particularly uh regarding the Holy Spirit,
Hmm.
and those things are like, "Oh, I just don't want to tick anybody off." But
Yeah.
that God is always pursuing you, and that no matter
Hmm.
what you do, no matter where you fall, no matter what you believe in, always there to be able to
Yeah.
share, to love, to guide. And so I think that having
Yes.
that perspective with intuition, that it's not like you're trying to tune into a radio station and you have to, like, it's like when you had to hold the antenna up above the television and you had to like stand on one foot and put your arm out and the tinfoil over here. It
Uh-huh.
you don't have to try that so hard.
No,
Just relax,
no.
right?
There is a relaxing, yes, a relax. There's so much, Kelly, that I want to say about everything that you just said.
Go for it. We have a little time.
Oh my goodness, there's so much. Yes, the trying harder, I feel like this is very fertility related concept. The trying harder actually might push a little bit more away. Like really trying hard to see that thing. It's like that thing that was that from the 90s or the 80s, those images, the holographic images, right? Like,
Yes, yes.
yeah, you have to relax your eyes in order to see it, right? Don't try harder. Okay, first, I just want to say I am so sorry for the losses. This is so far from silly, so far from silly. I just, and for listeners who or watchers of your podcast who have that feeling too, I should be grateful for what I do have. It does not matter how many, you know, Earthside children you have. Imagine one of your Earthside kiddos just suddenly going away. It doesn't matter how many you have left. It's painful. It's painful. It's painful. It's painful. Those who are struggling with secondary infertility, it's a whole other set of fertility stuff. But I just want to honor those folks like you who might think the same thing. It's silly. I should be. Lots of shoulding on one's self, and I
Oh,
encourage
yes.
folks not to should on yourself. um, okay, so I just want to break down a little bit the difference between um, or I want to highlight the intuitive part here with your
Yeah.
experience because, whoa, such a sign, totally a sign. Now, the the intuitive part, it's almost like a blip, right? It's a little bit difficult to discern sometimes because again, intuition does not have emotion. So that initial awareness, a sign, it's like a little blip and then, oh my gosh, it's got to be a sign, is he coming, right? Like
Right.
that's the emotional part. That first little blip, the knowing, the understanding, the wisdom, that is intuition right there, just touching on it, and the emotion comes a little bit later, right? Sometimes the confusion, I don't know, does this mean I should be just done, or but right, that's all just emotional stuff. And that's why I encourage folks to ask for more signs. If you, unless that was big enough for you, which it would have been for me, he's coming. He's coming. The last thing I wanted to say, which is not related to intuition, but I'm curious about your little girl that showed this burst of pink
Yeah.
fuchsia color. Um, if she has a quite an outgoing, a little bit of a bossy personality, she might be a certain kind of soul called a pink starlight.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
encourage you to do Google up pink starlight souls. Yeah.
Yes, and I love that
Whoa.
interview that you've done. I listened to that when you had a replay just recently, and
Ah,
yes.
Lindsay Eastburn.
So,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Yes. She might be.
Interesting. That is
Yeah.
fascinating. Oh, I
Yeah.
could just talk forever. Oh, I
I
just
know.
love.
It's so
Well, I could listen forever. I could probably talk forever as well, but gosh. So, folks, you are going to want to go to the show description so that you can find Maria and all the things that she offers, because she's putting a lot of really wonderful, beautiful
fun.
things into the world. And so, if you're curious for more, which you should be, see the links below, but it's drmariarothenberger.com. And
Hmm.
she also has a Patreon that you can go. Tell us a little bit about your Patreon because you know about it better than me.
Yeah, Patreon. So patreon.com/ the reluctant medium. And uh, I guess I didn't talk about why I'm reluctant, did I? Because I'm a sciencey person and I'm like, no, this can't be happening. But reluctantly, I had to admit it's happening and it's helpful. That's the main part. It's helpful for folks. So patreon.com/ the reluctant medium. So you can join as a free member. I do every Monday. There's a moon day. It's Moon Day, where I talk about the moon phases and what this means for your week moving forward. And the rest of folks who join at a little bit higher level, there's 3 tiers. They're like a few dollars. I can't remember how much the most expensive one is. It might be like $15 a month or something. But the first one's like $5, I think, a month. And every day you get a little energetic, little witchy, little intuitive, whatever woo-woo thing is happening for that day. It's like, for example, Tuesday is tarot day, right? So there's something about the tarot on Tuesdays. There's a post every day that you can get. If the higher levels get 7 days a week, the lower levels get 5 days a week. And then once a month for the highest tier, we meet in live on Zoom and have a connection there with other like-minded humans, and we do mini readings in those sessions. And there's lots more coming because Patreon is only, for me, it's only like 3 months old. So I'm getting a lot more going on Patreon. There's way too much fun to be had. So yeah, get in while the getting's good.
That's right. And then besides that, you also do one-on-ones, and you'll do readings and spirit baby
Mhm.
readings, and you have so many offerings, and they are on your site for people to find. And that, I
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
having one of those is just an utter blessing to be seen like that.
Hmm.
It just feels
Yeah,
so reassuring. And
yeah,
so I highly encourage people to book Maria. Thank you
yeah.
so
Thanks,
much for
Kelly.
joining me today and sharing your wisdom.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I appreciate you.